Valuation Win Insider. I'm Nick Moen. Today I'm joined by Ryan Macomb, one of the sharpest voices at the intersection of dentistry, revenue cycle management, and AI. Ryan spent the last decade fixing broken RCM systems for DSOs, building centralized billing teams, and helping practices adopt technology that actually removes work instead of adding more. And now he's launching an AI training and integration consultancy that helps dental teams go from overwhelmed to confident and stay ahead of the curve. So let's get into it. Thanks for coming on, Ryan.
Hey, thanks, Nick. We're really happy to be here. I'm excited to get into this.
All right. Well, let's back up. You've worked in dentistry for a long time now. What role really shaped your current view of the industry the most?
I'd have to say probably it's a culmination, because I think that kind of describes where I'm at in my career anyway. It's like this culminating point where I have all these things I've done, and I feel like it's kind of compressed into a certain thing, and I'm trying to figure out how to best wield that tool. But I would have to say really probably what's on my mind most is just the most recent stuff I've done. So working with the DSOs and more focused in on RCM cycles. My whole career hasn't been just about RCM, but definitely the latter quarter of it has been really focused in on dental RCM. So that was just a really natural marriage because AI is a very easy fix in a lot of those situations in RCM. It's probably the cleanest path we can see right now into where AI is going to affect dentistry the quickest and probably have the biggest effect. So right now, I just say it's coming out of that, but I certainly am looking at some of the other stuff too, because what I'm looking at through these lenses now really truly affects almost every aspect of dentistry.
Well, and what symptoms did you see in RCM systems that said, hey, this needs reinvention?
Yeah, that's a great question. The whole thing, is that fair? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, if we could throw out the insurance company and start over again, we'd be right? But no, with RCM, really, Nick, it's the same problem that we're seeing in business everywhere, in almost every industry. Our society has really reached this point where almost all the jobs we do, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a builder, whether you're doing any other task, so much of your daily life and your professional time now is wrapped up in data entry. I mean, it is. And when we look at RCM, I mean, that goes way up, the percentage of time we spend doing that. In a DSO, you're often going to have a whole team that spends the vast majority of their workday just entering data. And it's technical data, right? We have to get it right. There's a lot of things that we have to know to do it efficiently. So it's not like mindless data entry a lot of times. You have to pay attention. You have to know what you're doing. But it is data entry. And the whole industry in the United States and other countries everywhere right now, our modern industry has ran into this. This is a bottleneck where we are spending way too much time doing this data entry. And I think that the AI is just a natural evolution, actually, of that effect. So when I look at that, to answer your question, that has really shaped it. And the pain points, regardless of whether we're talking chair side operations or in the RCM team after the fact, both of those are going to be heavily impacted on the data entry side by AI very quickly.
And adding AI into, RCM management or just processing data in general, what are some misconceptions you're hearing that you have to combat?
Yeah, that's a great one. And I think we're still really in kind of that stage of adoption with AI where we have a lot of people that are still afraid of the technology, whether that's an outright fear that it's going to do something malevolent at some point in time, or probably the more common one is it's going to take my job, right? Or it's going to take the job from the team that I care about, that I've raised, that I've trained, that I care about so much. I treat them like a family. What am I supposed to do? Bring AI in and send them home with no job, right? No, right? That's not what anybody wants to see happen. And that wouldn't make a lot of sense if we were building a product that essentially was just going to put half of our workforce out of work. So I think that that's one of the biggest things is what do we do with our team, right? If AI is doing all these tasks for me, then why do I even need my team? Or eventually, why would I even need to be a dentist? Is a robot going to do this for me? And we have all these fears that are out there. Well, for one thing, that stuff's really far away before we have to worry about any of that. And what we're talking about right now is those simpler tasks, the things that we don't want to do, the things we never signed up to do. These long data entry tasks is really what we're going to be attacking first. So I think that misconception on the fear thing and what we're going to do with our team is legit. I see it. I understand why you'd be concerned about that, but it's misplaced because AI is not going to replace your team. AI can't replace your team. There's lots of things your team needs to be there to do. What AI does, it deals in the best currency ever, time. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You can't buy time, right? AI can give you time. It really can. If I can take 25% of your team's time that they were using for data entry away and have AI do that literally almost instantly,
Yeah.
I just gave you time, 25% of time. What you do with that is up to you. Again, it's the best currency ever. Do you
Right.
want to walk into your office and say, hey guys, we figured out how to produce the same amount in 3 days now that we were doing in 4 days in a work week. So we're just going to go down to 3 days. I'm going to give you all a raise to match your salary so you're not losing anything. We're all just going to have 4-day weekends every week. Now, that might not be what you want to do, right? Maybe if you're an older doc or something and your practice is on the way out and you want to do that, great. If you're a younger guy, though, and that 25%, maybe you want to reinvest some of that in your practice. Maybe you want to say, hey, we're going to be open another day. We're going to take on these special cases I've been wanting to do. We're going to learn a new skill. We're going to add a new thing to our practice. Anything. It's time. It's literally trade. It's the most valuable thing ever. We can trade it for anything. So that's really the way I try to look at that is how can we give you back time? AI buys you time. It doesn't
Sure.
replace you.
Well, so if you have more time, I mean, you're still using, the AI as a tool, right? And so inevitably, like even if it's not replacing, typical office work, it's supplementing it, but there's still kind of like an emotional load or something that ends up, becoming eminent when you're utilizing a new tool. So how does that kind of change, how you approach the work that you're doing in a less amount of time?
Well, I think, and it's a great question, but I think that the change, for one thing, this has got to happen like any other change. There's not going to be next Monday, we don't pick a day and say, we're going AI today and everything's AI, right? This will be something we walk in as a practice. In fact, you have to do it that way. The systems learn as you work. They really do. They don't technically learn, it's machine learning, but they do remember very specific things about you and they remember what you're doing. They get better at tasks. If you're using that same AI system, you will see it will get better at tasks. So this is a comfortability thing. I think it really is kind of how I would look at that. And I think it just has to be very purposefully done. We have to have everybody included, particularly the people that are having those tasks most affected by the AI. Because learning to use AI, in my opinion, is not like learning to use a new piece of tech in your office, like a scanner or a new computer or something like that. Using AI is much more like learning a new language. It really is. It's how you talk to things, how you expect to get the answers back. It's how you communicate.
Yeah.
So in that way, there is a learning curve, and it can be pretty steep if you aren't involved in any of that stuff yet. If you're kind of already in it and kind of using it in different places, it might be a little easier. But it's a process either way, and I don't think it's one that's going to end. Right? This isn't something where you'd be like, oh, hey, that dentist is fully AI. That doesn't exist.
Right.
It's going to be, hey, right? They're using these tools. We'll be able to compare and contrast what some people are doing compared to others and how it's working for them. But it's going to touch everything, even in things that we don't particularly go out and seek to put AI in. Those products that we use every day and count on every day are going to start having AI features inside them as well. So you will see it everywhere. But as far as that fear and the kind of like that, bringing that into the practice, I think it needs to be done in a very scheduled way. This is a lot of what I'm building right now is how to communicate to dentists and their teams about really what AI is going to do in their practice, how to identify where AI can help them the most now, and then help them set those systems up so that they can just repeat that success. In fact, one thing I don't think a lot of people understand and know about AI, you probably do, you talk to a lot of people, but AI, like I said, it does learn. So one of the things I've been really working is on my personal systems that I use for my work. I've been spending a lot of time training them. And that sounds kind of funny, but I do. I sit there and I talk them through processes in dentistry. I sit there with a microphone. We actually just have a conversation almost like we are now, where I explain it. I will ask it, hey, what would help you understand this process better? It will give me information. I've been building this system to understand what we do. My system's read tons of EOBs. It's read tons of AR reports, right? So one of the things that I can actually do is I can actually have that system, take a pause here.
I think we're good.
So I can actually ask my system to create a prompt. It's going to be a long, big prompt that will do something we call priming. And that will prime a new AI system. So when we just signed up, we've just put into an office, people like me can come in and prime your system so that your system it's like sending your AI system to college, right? So it'd be like sending it to RCM college real quick. And that's just by giving it a piece of data that I've had my system prepare that speaks in that language to that new AI software. So that's part of it too. So it's going to prime it. It'll give you that little heads up on that so that you don't start from scratch your system at least knows what you're talking about, has been there a little bit before. But I think that will help to alleviate some of that, what you're talking about, and some of those concerns.
So, I mean, really, like you said, it's learning a new language, and it's having a conversation with a teacher. You're training, right? But as AI gets smarter, I mean, where's the human value? Like, what's irreplaceable about the human plus AI?
Yeah. Well, I think that if anybody knew the exact answer to that, you'd have it. You'd have it, right? So this is going to be an evolution, right, of what's going to happen with that. It'll change. It'll adopt. It's really funny. I mean, Nick, do you remember like before the internet came out? That's a great one to look at. It wasn't just that we didn't understand what the internet was. You could have come to me when I was in high school in like 1995 and been like, "Hey, Ryan, there's going to be this thing. It's the internet. You can do," and you could explain technically what it did to me. And I think I'm kind of a smart guy. I probably would have understood what you were saying. What I wouldn't understand is the impact and how much it would touch, how it would change every industry. I mean, imagine if you were a retail guy back in 1994 and you're planning out your 10-year mission,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Because the internet just totally dumped that on its head, changed it. And it wasn't even like we could, even once it was invented and real, we still couldn't envision everything it was going to do. AI is the same. In fact, AI is probably exponentially over that. So what we're seeing right now is very similar to what those doors opened in like those late 90s when the internet came flooding in and it changed the way we do everything. We're right there again with AI. It's going to be the same thing, probably even more impactful, actually. So I can guess at how that's going to be, but I can tell you this: people will always be needed for this. We actually have, it's kind of funny because what we actually allow ourselves to do with the AI is be more human.
yeah.
We don't have to sit there and punch the keyboard the entire time the patient's in front of us, right? We don't have to spend a lot of time worrying about their insurance, worrying about all the other things we worry about the data entry and getting everything straight, because we have these AI partners that are now taking those tasks from us. They're not only doing them faster, they're doing them more accurately. They're noticing trends in them if we want to go back in and ask them for trends. So when AI does something and it holds a piece of data, what we can get out of that is so much different than we've ever been able to, because it's even unintended, again, consequences from it, good consequences. So maybe we ran a report for one reason, but we see something in it and we go, oh, and we tell AI to look for that trend. So now AI says, oh yeah, that trend's there. In fact, look, it goes back into this. And so that's that unexpected value. And that's how AI is. Every time I work with an AI product, I walk away with some unintended piece of knowledge. It just happens. It really does. So that's really where I think we are. Like we've got to start speaking that language and start at those finer points in there, because just like the internet, this isn't going away. You can't opt out.
How do you train staff though that may have, you know, because you're training a new language, right? You're having a new conversation with this new tool. Like, how do you train staff maybe that are in RCM management and data entry, and like what's the best training system to let them not fight AI but realize that it's there to help them?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, and I'm working on it right now. It is going to be a training session. The way that I look at this, and the way that it is unfolding in front of me right now, is this is going to be driven first off by seeding your AI. So we talked a little bit about that. So a lot of my work is in building these guides inside AI that I will be able to bring into a client, and then essentially your AI is going to be as smart as my AI, or as experienced as my AI in that field is now. So this is going to make it faster. I mean, you could work with a brand new AI system and get these results. You just have to go through some refining to get there. If you're using a seeded one or a prompted one like this, it's just going to be fast. It's going to know right what you're looking for. It's seen 100 reports before it's learned those things. So that will help immensely in the beginning. And then it's language. And the way that I'm going to do that is I have already lots of different little sample tasks. For example, these are simple. I want to tell you, if you look at one of these, don't get blown away. It's not. This is scratching the surface, and all that's under that surface is a little more surface. I mean, literally, this is not high tech, high level stuff, but it does a really good job of showing you what we're looking at, where we're going, right? So I think for me in the training, it's going to be starting with tasks like that. So I'll come in behind them, kind of understand their system, what is going to be appropriate to what level of AI assistance we're taking the office to, where we're doing that at. And then it's going to be a matter of teaching them the language. It really is. So I'm going to start showing them how to prompt AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that will be through just using prompts I've given them. They can copy paste them in. AI will understand them. But then it's going to be AI training. I'm going to train them how to utilize the AI. And anybody that's halfway smart is going to figure that out, that this is going to go a lot of other directions. Everybody you give that tool to starts looking at other things just automatically. In fact, I think probably one of the controls we're going to have to put in place is once we put this in is trying to not go down the rabbit hole too much, because we all know that if used AI is the ultimate rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, right? You don't want to get lost in the data, which you could do. You could absolutely just have it create report after report after report, data on metadata on metadata. So, without going down the rabbit hole, using these prompts that I have created that I know work very well, and get us to a very specific place. I think once they get through that and they're integrated into their system, most people will just start thinking on their own, hey, I know where I can take this and I can do this. And they'd be free to call me and I tell them, hey, yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe you can change it this way or this way. But it's really the gift that keeps giving. I mean, once you give us some information and you get what you need out of it, I think everybody will start to see other areas they want to explore. So I think some of it will be self-driven, honestly, after they've had the initial training. We've seeded it, we've got it going. But essentially what we need to do is we need to identify the areas in the practice that are going to most benefit by AI and the practice owners willing to make those moves. And then we just need to start a process of installing them, putting them in, refining them, making sure that we're getting the results we want out of them, tracking progress on that. And I really think that if you look at dentistry, you're going to see that wave hit in really a couple different ways and different areas of the practice at different times. Just because industry as a whole matches up with our RCM in dental so well, I think that's where we'll see that first major effect in that, and then like patient communication, scheduling, things like that, because it just fits into grander, broader visions of AI. So systems that are for other industries that will cross over and help us. And then we'll closely behind that start to see a lot of clinical stuff. And obviously, when we get into that clinical area, there's going to have to be a lot softer touch, and we're going to have to look at that much differently. And that's going to have to, a lot of I think will have to be dentist led, honestly, on that, because that's just the way it is at that point. So certainly we can help our dentist partners, my friends that are dentists, people that are interested in getting into this, and help guide them. But we're going to have some of these guys really stand up and be the voice of reason, verify this stuff that we're seeing out of AI from a clinical level. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see, I think we spoke about this one time earlier, some of these industries like the ADA forming some kind of ethics board around
Right.
it. So
yeah,
but we're early right now.
Well, let's say we had AI 5 years ago. I mean, in the work you've done, I guess we did in a sense, but not the systems we have now. As far as like RCM or like collections goes, how did you know, as far as symptoms were, like how did you know that there was a workflow problem and not just like a data entry or time problem? And what would you have done to solve it using AI 5 to 10 years ago?
Yeah, good question. So I would really have to look at that from two different angles. One would be, am I talking about a practice that I have running pretty good? Like I've been there for a while, my systems are in place, I'm happy with the way it's running, or is it one I'm rescuing? Like a DSO that's way out of control, their AR is all messed up. They have thousands of claims sitting in their 90-day bucket, that kind of situation, which I've been in before, or one that we've been working with. So first answer is I'd put AI in either of them, because that's just where we're at. It's going to improve anything. The second one would be, the answer is really no different than what we would traditionally look for in pain points. So we know an office is struggling by the same KPIs we would anyway, right? So let's look at collection percentage against production. Let's look at what percentage of your claims are in 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, and over 90. Let's look at how fast you're getting paid, your AR days, DSO days, dollar days, whatever you call them. Are you under 30 there? All of those different things that are relative to the health of the RCM cycle are going to point to the same thing. So we don't need different clues. We just have a different tool to affect them. So if I saw one of those things off, would we get AI in a specific way? When I first started, I probably would have just attacked that specific problem with AI. In fact, when I first started using AI, that's how I did it. Now my mindset has shifted into what we're talking about today, which is essentially putting the system in place that's AI. So where it can affect things immediately and have that positive outcome we're looking for. So if we wanted to like talk about insurance verification, that's going to be hugely affected by AI. Now, I think that probably the way we're going to see it mostly in the beginning is you're going to see companies that are already doing it. Like if you took like Vine Trellis, for example, that has a package of verification tools that come with their other programming. I'm sure that'll be AI assisted to the max here coming up because it does so much more for you. But that's a great place where I can give you a sample of what you could do there. And if you took, you mind if I give you a little tool?
Please.
Yeah. All right. Here, I'll give you one. I'll give you a free one here. This is very simple. This is going to be a surface scratcher, so don't get too excited about it. And remember, your AI is not my AI, but you'll get a good answer from it. So let me look over here. So what you want to do, go find yourself a benefit sheet. Or you could even do a recording of a phone call with an insurance company, which I've done, and that's awesome. Just record your call with the insurance agent when you're getting a breakdown for a new patient. You're trying to understand their insurance. Okay, now take that sheet that they either fax to you or just the phone call recording. I'm telling you, that's the best way. It's easy. It gets everything. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and upload either that audio file or you can upload the sheet that they fax to you. And then you're going to prompt it. You're going to say this. Clean up the following insurance verification information and format it into a readable chart with deductible, annual max, coverage percentage, frequencies, age limit, periods, missing unclear information, then provide a 1-paragraph summary explaining anything unusual. That's it.
Right.
That's what I want. And so if you were my client, you would have had that in your computer system. You could just copy and paste that right in, or we'd actually call that a command. There'd be a command name for that task. That's a very simple one, though. That's probably not the way we'd really do it. I'm just trying to show you the power of AI. But if you do that, just go ahead and look at what it does. And I think that will be very eye-opening for a lot of people to see and how quickly it will do it.
So, I mean, is that a Band-Aid or is this like a, antibiotic? What is, how is that?
This is probably neither. What I just told you to do is probably more like a sample, I guess. This is just to show the power of it. I mean, you literally could do this. I don't know if that would save any time, though. It would probably make you more accurate. You'd have a very, very regimented, very clear way that you're adding your breakdowns into your system. But what I want people to do is see the power, because now imagine a system that just does it.
Well, then it's digestible, and once again, digestible as a massive data set across all the patients, right?
Exactly. And so the thing is, if you do a little task like that too, and you see what it gives you, and you're like me, you're going to start thinking, oh, wow, what else can this do? Well, go ahead. If you get that out of your AI and you like the report, play with it. Ask it some more questions. It's pretty amazing what it'll do. The other thing it does is it learns the insurance company's different little idiosyncrasies. So my AI, if I ask it to evaluate a claim that's going to Cigna and one going to Delta, it knows that the two companies have differences. And if it knows and sees one of those things, it'll alert me. That's the power there, right? Yeah, seriously. So, another thing for dentists, don't you for a second think that the insurance companies aren't doing this to their advantage.
Right.
Not only can you not escape it, you need this. You can't bring a knife to a gunfight with the insurance company. And if you don't get on board with this, you are.
In a practical sense, how is it going to change the battle with the insurance company? Because that, obviously they're using these tools inevitably. They're massive compared to a small single practice or a smaller DSO. Like how is this tool? What's the impact here?
Yeah. Well, Nick, what do you think is the number one tactic? If I can just ask you, what do you think the number one tactic that insurance companies have in order to slow down reimbursement, right? We all know that they make money by keeping their money longer, right? So any reason for them to hold a payment, even if they know they're going to pay it, right? What's their number one tactic?
I mean, increased communication maybe, right? Or they're putting up roadblocks.
Their number one is they want to deny and throw paperwork at you.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
They want you to give up, honestly.
Yeah, right.
They want you to give up.
Yeah.
They want you to be like, this is too much. I don't know what's going on here. So they are going to make that as hard as possible, right? And we all know that it's like we have our recare appointments, right? Our prophy and our recare exam and a couple x-rays. Typically those go through really fast, right? Maybe 2 weeks, even 10 days. Some of the companies will pay it to you if you're set up on EFT. They don't fight those because there's nothing in them, right? How are you going to fight it? There's nothing in it, right? But if we go any deeper in, that's when we start to see the fighting, right? They want, and they all have their own little idiosyncrasies that they want, their own little rules, their own little this, their own little that. It's really difficult to keep up with. Anybody in RCM knows it. In fact, if you talk to a really great RCM manager, most of them are going to be like this huge knowledge bank of all the things the insurance companies around them do to screw them. That's
Right.
essentially what it is, right? And they're really good at looking out for those, because the best tool has always been for RCM people to fight that has been accuracy, right? We call clean claims. We're like, we're just going to make clean claims. We're going to have our narratives perfect. We're never going to miss a radiograph. We're never going to miss a perio chart. We're going to have everything perfect all the time. We're going to make sure that we understand our patient's insurance. Do they have a secondary insurance? Have they contacted it and set up COB? All these things we've done a million times. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to set systems up that help prevent mistakes on claims from going out, right? But that's still the number one way that insurance companies delay payment, and the number one reason that dentists are frustrated with their AR is claim stuff, right? So the insurance companies are going to use AI to do this. Obviously, they are, right? So they can just run these things through, and they can look for these little mistakes that it knows to look for, and anytime it flags one, it's just going to trigger it and go. So the only way to combat that level of efficiency that the insurance company is trying with the same level of efficiency. So now we have to do the same to our claims. Not only are they faster, they're more accurate, they're mistake-free, they've been ran through with AI. It's looked for everything for that insurance company that understands it, right? So if I'm using a good large language model like I am for ChatGPT for a lot of what I do, because we won't get into it today, but inside the technical aspects of this, to do everything in dentistry, you're going to have several different AI models working in conjunction. But for these tasks, it's mostly large language that we're talking about. So like ChatGPT 5 would be a large language model for people that don't know. So if I put ChatGPT 5, my ChatGPT, again, that's very trained, remember that when I put that in there, it's also going to remember the verification that I asked, or excuse me, the breakdown that I asked for from the insurance company, right? So if that was for a plan that has Delta Dental and it's a bunch of patients in my office that have that same plan, well, now my AI remembers everything about that plan too. So, right. So I could actually just go in there and say, hey, I forgot. Will Delta pay to replace a crown in 4 years?
Right.
And guess what? Delta just tells me. I don't even got to go look it up in the breakdown anymore. My Delta
Yeah.
knows. So, I'm feeding this stuff constantly. But that's part of the training process of what I'm going to try to share with offices is how to do that. Because it's so easy. You just have to give it the information, right? So if you have an insurance company, let's say that you are working in a city where you see a lot of school teachers. And so whatever the school district uses for dental insurance is a huge percentage of your production. So why not upload all that stuff to your large language model every year? I'm going to go in and say, here is all the information on this insurance plan that we bill a lot. I want you to understand it, remember all of it, flag anything if you see us do something that's against this.
What about tech stacks? I mean, look, where could a tool like this come? I mean, even just starting as a prompt or beautification or assessing data for structure and readability in order to combat insurance, or even like AR automation. Like, what's a tech stack look like? Like, what tool would you recommend at this point to be ready to implement some of these AI systems that you are getting ready to share and launch with your consultancy?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dick. And it's the question that I've been going over in my mind a lot. And the answer I keep coming up with is we can go over some basics, but like everything in a dental office, I got to see the office. I got to know I got to know the dentist. I got to know what they're using, where they're going. It's just so different. So I'd want to be really careful not to say something and have people feel like they can run out and do something like that, or they need to buy something. So I'll answer that this way. If you haven't done anything yet, you can just get ChatGPT 5 right now. It's just a large language model. Do one of these exercises. I'll give you one more before we're off here. Do some of these exercises, and I'll give you my information. If anybody wants to call me or text me or wants to chat about this, I'm happy to do that. I'm building some of these systems now, and if you ever want, just somebody wants to, hey, just set me off in the right direction. I'm happy to do that. I really am. So I would say right now, if you're not in that, get ChatGPT 5, put it on your phone, just play with it. Just play with it. It's gonna be different at first. You'll probably try to use it like Google, which is fine. Just start to try to understand how it's answering differently than Google, and then maybe ask it questions differently than Google. I think it will really empower you. And you can use it around your house just for daily stuff. And I think that's a great way, honestly, just to start getting into it and just start understanding how it works. You'll see the power in it, especially if you run those tasks through. I'll give you one more if you want.
Yeah, please. I mean, I'm kind of looking at like what's the reward here, right? So like using these prompts or because you can talk to a stranger in the street or a coffee shop all day and sure it might be intriguing, but like what's the reward you're getting out of asking the right questions to this tool?
Well, if you're asking questions that matter, you're going to get the right answers, and you're going
Yeah.
to get answers that probably you never even would have thought of. It's a really hard thing to describe to somebody the power it has. I know that you know what I'm talking about because you use it. But for folks that haven't used it, the information, the answers are different. It's not this cold, dead answer where it's just dead. When you get an answer from AI, it's it's a living conversation that's still going on with all the aspects of it. And so it's just so different. So what do you get out of it? Well, that's endless. I mean, what did you want? First off, did you want your practice to run smoother? Did you want to make more money? Did you want to make less mistakes? Did you want to take on a new skill? It will support any of those. If you
Even,
want
but
to,
even with like RCM, like let's go back to kind of your expertise here, like, handling the revenue cycle or insurance, like, there's symptoms because you were helping with this before AI came out. So there's symptoms to look for. Do you have, or like, what would you recommend saying, hey, here's the first questions I asked to see if these symptoms are applicable to me. And then here's the prompts that I'd use to actually, diagnose like how these symptoms are impacting the practice and then coming up with solutions or rewards. Like how would you approach that?
well, I think it's a really broad question, right? So if we wanted to like break that into a specific task, I could give you like a walkthrough on it because it's when I think about your question, I'm thinking basically viewing myself looking at an AR sheet, right, or like a
Right.
KPI sheet from an office,
Right.
and being like, okay, where does AI fit? So if to kind of follow that, if I was to pick out, say, the 90-day claims, why not, right? One of the things I hate to see is a ton of 90-day claims. So if there's over 10% of your open claims are 90 days or older, we have a problem, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Sure.
Okay. We have a problem with whatever's happening in your claim cycle. It's probably a communication. I'm betting you have claims that have fallen through the cracks. You're not wanting to denials. You're not doing that stuff. So then we'd want to look into that, right? What are these claims? So the next move would be to print an AR sheet, an insurance AR sheet, right? So I see all the claims. It's going to be a big old long sheet of all the claims that are open. I'd want to print it with as much detail as possible. But that is where right now I would stop and upload to my AI at that point. I'm talking about installing the system. I'm using AI right now to diagnose. I'd put AI on that. I'd probably print some other things and I'd ask it to look for trends. I have some other prompts that I look for as well. So I'd want to know like how long claims are staying in the 90 bucket, things like that I'm going to ask it. Specifically, I'm going to want to know, is there a particular insurance company that's standing out that does more of this than others? And things that we could do on our own if we just sat there with a marker and a checkbox, but AI will do it instantly, right? So then I'll have a guide of kind of like where the problems are in there. So if I was just going to go in and specifically, like, let's say, just tackle that task, why are the 90 days? Why are the 90-day claims so high? Can I put some AI tools in place to start bringing that along? Absolutely. So I want to put tools in place on both sides of that. So my first tool is going to be, I want AI scrubbing my claims from now on. I can choose to have it scrub all claims, or I can just have it choose to scrub claims that are specifically being denied. I can ask and will ask AI, by the way, on that report, are there specific codes that are commonly denied, right? So it'll tell me, oh, hey, it's not that you have a claim problem, you have a problem with buildups, right? Or something like that, right? That can be very telling. But if it wasn't, if it's just across the board, it's not a company, it's not a specific code, it's just like that, then I'm going to tell it, hey, I want these scrubbed. I want it scrubbed for correct radiographs. I want to make sure the narrative matches. I want to make sure the narrative qualifies it for this particular insurance company. If we're doing SRP and we have one company that's got 4 millimeters, another company that's got 6, it needs to know that so it can flag that. So I'm going to ask it to look for all of these specific things, right? So I have my list. I say my AI is trained to look at it for these specific things. And then the beauty of it is we just set the system up, and all we have to do is make sure that all outgoing claims are now ran through that process before they go to the clearinghouse. That easy. On the back end of it, I'm going to do the same thing. From now on, all of our EOBs, before we do anything, there's another trick for you. We're going to send all our EOBs through the large language model. We're going to ask it to summarize, ask it to categorize them. It's going to put the denials on one side. It's going to recognize denials that now need a new narrative. It's going to recognize denials that need a new radiograph. It's going to recognize denials because the patient didn't have coverage, right? It's going to put them into my category, so I know which one is each one to fix. I can tell it to rearrange that at any point in time if it makes more sense. Like if I'm going to call Delta Dental to follow up on one claim, okay, put all the Delta claims together for me because I'm going to call Delta, so I'm just going to talk to them about all of them while I'm on the phone. That's what I'm talking about. So it makes one person to like 10 people, right?
Yeah.
So that's literally, I mean, I could go on forever. This is every system in the dental office goes like this.
Yeah. Dental data doctor, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
you're,
mean, there you go, right? And then you're probably going to be amazed because now all your claims go out. If it's not matching exactly what needs to go out, you're going to get flagged, especially as the system goes because it learns, right? That's one of the important things. That's why I want it reading it out and reading it in. So I want to see cause and effect. AI has a lot better memory than we do. It remembers putting that claim in exactly what's in it. So when it comes back and something was wrong, it goes, next time, right? That's beautiful. I
yeah.
mean, that's amazing. So I hope that answered your question. If I looked at from like an old RCM standpoint and said, hey, this is a common symptom, a common problem, here's an AI fix.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like giving somebody a power hammer that's never, hammered before, or, right? It's like some tool, or like, what do you do with a computer,
Absolutely.
right? And so I think it was really good to hear, like, here's a practical, executable system, but also, that still might be complex, and that's where you step in, right? As like
It
the
is.
dental data doctor. I don't know if that's ridiculous, but they're like, here's what we
uh,
can do to fix this
that's
KPI
funny.
issue. Here's what we're looking for, and then here's how
Yeah.
it's solved. No,
Yeah.
I love that. Well, to
It
wrap it
is.
up, I'm curious, like, what would using AI, like, what's one dental task just that you'd want to eliminate?
One dental task.
Yeah, just one task in the practice that you could eliminate the quickest and easiest using your expertise here in AI.
Okay, I have a million, but I'm going to start with one that I'm working on right now. And that is going to be recognizing and adding suggestions for, and then pretty soon when the new model comes out, it will be actually making the call or text to fill holes in the schedule.
Amazing.
While you sleep, once this
Yeah.
tool is working, you will not do anything. It'll
Right.
do it all itself. It will literally recognize that you have a hole in your hygiene schedule. It will look through your unscheduled list. It will prioritize patients. It will send text messages out, try to recur them on that, offer them that appointment. If they accept it, literally you can come in and have your holes filled in your schedule when you get there in the morning.
Amazing. Hey, Brian, thanks for sharing today. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
It's been great.
absolutely. It was my pleasure. Hope to see you soon. And yeah, I'm excited, man. This is a cool wave, and I feel like we're building the surfboard. So,
Thanks,
all
Ryan. Until next time.
right, man.